It was a rimy morning and very damp. I had seen the damp lying on the outside of my little window, as if some goblin had been crying there all night and using the window for a pocket handkerchief. Now I saw the damp lying on the bare hedges and spare grass, like a coarser sort of spider's webs, hanging itself from twig to twig and blade to blade. On every rail and gate, wet lay clammy, and the marsh mist was so thick that the wooden finger on the post directing people to our village, a direction which they never accepted, for they never came there, was invisible to me until I was quite close under it. Then, as I looked up at it, while it dripped, it seemed to my oppressed conscience like a phantom devoting me to the hulks. The mist was heavier yet when I got out upon the marshes, so that instead of my running at everything seemed to run at me. This was very disagreeable to a guilty mind. The gates and dykes and banks came bursting at me through the mist, as if they cried as plainly as could be, "A boy with somebody else's pork pie, stop him!" The cattle came upon me with a like suddenness, staring out of their eyes and steaming out of their nostrils. "Hulloa, young thief!" one black ox with a white cravat on, who even had to my awakened conscience something of a clerical air, fixed me so obstinately with his eyes and moved his blunt head round in such an accusatory manner as I moved around, that I blubbered out to him, "I couldn't help it, sir. It wasn't for myself, I took it." Upon which he put down his head, blew a cloud of smoke out of his nose, and vanished with a kick up of his hind legs and a flourish of his tail. At this time I was getting on towards the river, but however fast I went, I couldn't warm my feet, to which the damp cold seemed riveted, as the iron was riveted to the leg of the man I was running to meet. I knew my way to the battery pretty straight, for I'd been down there on a Sunday with Joe, and Joe, sitting on an old gun, had told me that when I was apprenticed to him regularly bound, we would have such larks there. However, in the confusion of the mist, I found myself at last too far to the right, and consequently had to try back along the riverside, on the bank of loose stones above the mud and the stakes that staked the tide out. Making my way along here with all dispatch, I had just crossed a ditch which I knew to be very near the battery, and had just scrambled up the mound beyond the ditch, when I saw the man sitting before me. His back was towards me, and he had his arms folded, and he was nodding forward, heavy with sleep. I thought he would be more glad if I came upon him with his breakfast in an unexpected manner, so I went forward softly and touched him on the shoulder. He instantly jumped up, and it was not the same man, but another man, and yet this man was dressed in coarse grey too, and he had a great iron on his leg, and was lame and hoarse and cold, and was everything that the other man was, except he had not the same face, and had a flat, broad-brimmed, low-crowned felt hat on. All this I saw in a moment, for I only had a moment to see it in. He swore an oath at me, made a hit at me. It was a round, weak blow that missed me and almost knocked himself down, for it made him stumble. "Show me the way he went. I'll pull him down like a bloodhound. Curse this iron on my sore leg. Give us a hold of the file, boy." I indicated in what direction the mist had shrouded the other man, and he looked up at it for an instant, but he was down on the rank wet grass, filing at his iron like a madman, and not minding me or minding his own leg, which had an old chafe upon it and was bloody, but which he handled as roughly as if it had been no more feeling in it than the file. I was very much afraid of him again, now that he had worked himself into this fierce hurry. The last I heard of him, I stopped in the mist to listen, and the file was still going. End of chapter 3.